What made you decide to stop quoting for free and to actually start looking at creating a different process? So Duayne, at Live Life Build, we teach the PAC process, or the paid as consultant process. This is the process where builders get paid as a consultant to be involved in a project during pre-construction and to work alongside the client and the designer or architect as an independent consultant, providing input on cost and buildability. We believe that it is the process that streamlines and solves so many issues for builders in their businesses, and also that it works incredibly well for clients and for designers and architects. It's not charging for a quote. So we talk a lot.
Completely different.
Very different to charging for a quote. It is, though, a way that builders can stop having to quote for free, which is something that so many builders out there are doing and spending inordinate amounts of time quoting projects that they don't get paid for and may or may not go on to secure. So what actually made you decide to stop quoting for free? Because the PAC process is something that I've used in my business. You know, as an architect, you had been trialling and working and honing, and then we've developed together and now teach inside Live Life Build. What made you decide to stop quoting for free and to actually start looking at creating a different process for this?
So I jumped on the charge for a quote bandwagon, and I was a big advocate for it, and together with somebody else, I actually flew to a couple of capital cities and spoke at some hardware stores and was really pushing charging for a quote. And look, I went down that path for probably 6 or 8 months, and then it was like, this is garbage. Like, this is just going to give the industry another horrible name, because you're going to get builders charging for a one-page piece of paper, still providing the same terrible quotes with no information, and just another reason why people hated our industry. And we kept working on it, because we thought, well, if someone's going to pay us a fee to provide, we call them proposals. So I believe your contractors and suppliers provide us quotes. We provide proposals to our clients. So the reason the whole PAC process developed was just through, it just kept growing and growing, because we felt that we had to deliver something, like we had to give the client value. And it grew and grew and grew to the stage it's at now, where with my input from a building business, your input from the architectural world, and quite a bit of feedback from clients that you'd had, and to the PAC process. And it's an absolute, I hate the word game changer, but it has really streamlined so many areas of our business. But the main reason it got to that point where I looked for a solution was because I was just sick and tired of wasting my time. We speak a lot about time and how people value it and all those types of things. And when I looked back, it was actually because I was in that cycle. I was chasing cash flow. There was no money in the bank. I just, like we spoke about, like every and any job that came across my desk, I felt I had to put a figure on it. So we actually went back and did some numbers on it, and there was 1 year, like the year that we decided to make a change. The previous 12 months before that, we had been involved in quoting or tendering, I think it was like 43 jobs. And our biggest year up until then, we'd done 13. So when you think about how much time, and look, I've always been the type of person that we put a lot of time into our proposals. I believe it's my responsibility as a builder to put a lot of work into it, a lot of effort, and make sure that when I give the client a quote, that's what the job's going to cost. So it wasn't like I'd quoted 43 odd jobs and they'd been an hour or two here and there. Like it was literally thousands of hours. Like by the time you do your scopes of works, you send it out to contractors, you get the quotes back, the other thing was, it wasn't even my time at this stage. Like at this point in time, I had a part-time admin lady that was helping me out with the quote. So it was costing me money. And I just thought enough's enough. So a big part of the PAC process is educating people, delivering value. And for me, it's getting rid of the clients that I don't want to work with or that don't suit the way that my business is going.
One of the really interesting things that builders really underestimate with the benefit of the PAC process is just how much it does actually streamline your business overall, and that ultimately can actually be the true value in implementing it for you as a builder. We find that lots of builders really struggle with overcoming that challenge of starting to have these kinds of conversations with clients and changing the way that they do business so that this is the way that they work, and stopping doing the quoting for free. I know that I tell clients, look, if a builder is quoting for free, that's got to be paid for in their business somewhere. It's not like that's just magic time that doesn't, get accounted for. And when a builder's revenue comes from the projects that they do, it actually means that the projects that they do are the ones paying for all of the free quoting that they're doing for all the jobs they don't get. So as a client, would you rather that the builder just charge you for what they're doing for you rather than also charge you for all the free work they're doing for everybody else? I would love, though, to understand a bit more about how you've seen the value of the PAC process through actually your business streamlining.
It's been incredible. The other thing is, it's not like I got to a point where I was sick and tired of wasting my time, taking me away from family, all those things, but it's affecting the entire industry. Like, if a builder is doing quotes correctly, then they're also wasting their suppliers' time, contractors' time. So the amount of time getting wasted across our industry by clients that are trying to get to the lowest price is enormous. And like in most building businesses, that time is really just getting sucked up by the director or someone like myself that's like, it's their own business. But when you talk about, and that goes through to like this contractors as well, like we're taking them away from their families. Like a lot of these guys are on site during the day, doing the plumbing, doing the electrical, and then doing this work late at night. But the big one is our suppliers and hardwares and things. Like a lot of these companies actually have teams of estimators, and probably one of the biggest eye-openers for me when we started this process, it started a lot of conversation about what we were doing. And one of my hardwares in particular had a conversation with me how they were only winning at the time about 13% of the jobs that they were doing estimating work on. And we're talking an estimating team of like, I think at the time it was about 6 or 8 staff here in Australia. They also had overseas estimators working for them. So you're literally talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for one company that's just getting wasted because everyone wants to price check things. So for me, the PAC process has been incredibly valuable with, like everybody knows it now. So like we discussed, educating, setting expectations, client agreements, subcontract agreements. My suppliers and contractors know my process. So they know that I'm getting paid to quote work. So when I send them plans to quote, they know that I'm 95% certain I'm going to get that job because they know the time, the effort I put in the early days. So we've found we get our quotes returned quicker. We've found we have a lot better communication with our suppliers and hardware stores. We occasionally get, it flows on through to the job. So we might skip a lot of the really long lead times because they know our process is so thorough. They know that the job's going to move forward. So they'll ring us and say, hey, when do you expect this job might go to contract? Do you want me to book you in a spot? So the flow-on effect from this process has not only been incredibly valuable for my business, it's been incredibly valuable for my contractors, my suppliers, and the most important one, my clients. Like my clients know that by paying me to get involved, to do all the work that we do through the PAC process, by the time we go to contract, it's fixed price, we've sorted everything out. It generally takes, in the work we do, it takes between 2 and 4 revisions of costings. So everyone puts in that time with me. My contractors revise some things, we revise the scopes of works. So by the time we get to contract, I know exactly what I'm doing, my contractors know what they're doing, the client knows what they're getting, and everybody's on the same page. It's honestly fantastic. Yeah,
and I can imagine too that having that opportunity to spend time with the client and the designer, we talk about how that gives you the opportunity to really understand, build that house in your head over and over and over, so that you're then able to strategically plan what's going to happen on site, well in advance, and then also make sure that you're accurately pricing everything, because you look at lines on a page for a drawing and there's so many assumptions in terms of how that's gone together. But if you're sitting at the table with the designer or architect and hearing what's the client thinking, what's the designer or architect thinking, what is the deal breakers for them, what do they mean by what they want for that material and those kinds of things, it means that you can include all of those conversations and all of the decisions around that. You've been able to sit at the table and see all of that roll through in the overall process.
You get the opportunity to pick up any discrepancies between like engineering and design plans. And like you said, like probably the most important one is I get to hear the conversations the clients are having during the design process. So this is probably the most valuable. Like I believe it's actually made me a better builder. I understand design more. I understand why things get done a certain way. But I also do get to hear those conversations that sometimes do slip through. And I only pick them up because I was at a meeting. And so when I'm pricing something, I'm going through the drawings, I can go, well, look, sorry, like this been missed here. Like I can send an email. Like everything's sorted prior to the first day on site. Like back in the day when we weren't doing this process, like so many times, the first day on site would be variations because there'd be a discrepancy between drawings and engineering, or something that the client thought they were getting had been missed. Like it's just, when I look back now, I have to laugh because I just think, how crazy was I to be in a building business for so many years and not do this process?
Yeah, of course it was going to go wrong. If that's what you're setting up in the process, you can't expect it to not go wrong when you first hit site. So, and this is the thing, when you're doing custom projects, they're unique every single time. You know, a custom renovation and a custom new build is a one-off every single time. So being involved in the PAC process, spending that time on the design with the client, with the architect or designer, and really understanding what's special and unique about that project so that you're not making mistakes in how you price it and how you consider it before you start building it.
It's all sorted. Everything is sorted. But one last thing to touch on with this process is it also gives you the opportunity to walk away. So again, you get that opportunity to, I guess, suss things out, test the waters before you dive into the contract. And like over the last 3 or 4 years, we have ended up in situations where we have given people their feedback and we've just said, look, really sorry, but this just isn't working out for us, and we've parted ways. And to be in a position where I've been able to know that situation before going to contract has just saved me so much heartache.
Yeah, that's so true. If you want to learn more about the PAC process, we actually have our online course, the PAC Challenge. It takes you through step by step how to start actioning the PAC process in your business, provides you with the tools and templates to be able to do it. It's a fantastic, efficient, super simple online course to do. We've had loads of builders do it and find it a successful and really useful way to start considering how to use the PAC process in their business, and we'd love to be able to help you out this way too. We really think this is the way to do residential.
It's the way of the future.